Welcome to the What's Next podcast, only on Spotify and YouTube.
All right, fight fans, let's get right into it today. We're doing a deep dive on Islam Makhachev. This guy is on another level.
Absolutely.
We've got some great analysis of his victory over Dustin Poirier. And I got to say, the more I learn about this guy, the more impressed I am.
Yeah, he's a problem for anybody in that division, for sure.
So everyone talks about Makhachev's grappling, but like, what makes him so dominant on the ground? Yeah. I get that he's like a python, you know, but what does that actually look like, you know, when you break it down in the fight?
You know, it's funny you say python because it's not just squeezing, it's this control. Like when he gets on top of you, he is so good at guard passing. That's basically getting past your legs when you're on your back and getting into a dominant position. He does that so fluidly, and then he just kind of drapes his body over you, and he's so strong, and he's got such a good understanding of leverage that it's like almost impossible to get him off of you.
So it's not just strength, it's technique and strategy too, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
When you look at his body triangle, for example, this is where he uses his legs to trap the opponent's body. And it just completely restricts their movement, and it creates all these opportunities for submissions. And the thing is, he transitions between positions so smoothly, you barely even notice it happening. And the next thing you know, you're stuck in a submission hold. You're like, how did I get here?
And I read this thing about how he like isolates limbs. Can you explain that?
Yeah, so imagine you're on the ground with him.
Yeah.
Right? He gets a hold of your arm, and he might be pinning your leg with his weight the whole time, you know, so he just kind of like systematically dismantles your defenses. And he's so smooth with it that you don't even realize it's happening until it's too late.
Yeah, that's scary. So grappling's obviously his bread and butter.
Right.
But his striking has been looking really good too. Lately, I was actually surprised by how effective he was on his feet against Poirier. What's he doing differently?
You know, it's interesting because his striking style isn't super flashy. He doesn't do anything crazy, but he's very economical with his movement. He doesn't waste a lot of energy, and he waits for the perfect opportunity to strike. And one of the weapons he uses really effectively is the check hook.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard that term before, but I don't really know what it is.
Basically, it's like a counterpunch, right? So as the opponent's coming in, Makhachev will pivot on his back foot, and he throws this lead hook. It just catches them off balance, and it stops their momentum. And a lot of times it'll even drop them. So it's all about timing and precision.
So he's kind of using the striking to set up his grappling.
Yeah, in a way, you know, he'll land these crisp punches, and then it makes his opponents more hesitant to engage, which creates these openings for him to get in close and either clench up or go for a takedown. So he's constantly blending the striking and the grappling, and it keeps his opponents guessing.
Yeah, he seems like a master of like dictating the pace of the fight.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. He's not always going for the knockout right away. He's patient, he's methodical, and he uses these clinches and transitions to wear his opponents down. You know, he'll press them against the cage and just grind on them with his weight and control. And it just drains their energy. And then when they're tired and frustrated, that's when he really turns up the pressure.
Yeah, that's where that fight IQ comes in. He's not just reacting, he's thinking ahead.
Exactly. He's always analyzing his opponents, looking for weaknesses, looking for patterns. There's this great example from his fight with Dan Hooker. He predicted that Hooker was going to throw a knee in the clinch, and he had a counter takedown perfectly timed.
Wow.
It's like he's playing chess in there.
That's nuts. Okay, so we've got the python-like grappling, we've got the precise striking, we've got the crazy fight IQ. Does Makhachev have any signature moves that kind of define his style?
You know, that's what makes him so hard to prepare for. He doesn't really have that one go-to move, you know? He's constantly evolving and adding new techniques. Yeah. But his submission game is something else, man.
Yeah, what makes it so special?
He's just got this knack for finding these unique finishing positions. You know, he'll catch you from an angle you just don't see coming. And next thing you know, the fight's over.
Yeah.
It's part of why he's considered one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world.
And it's not just natural talent either. It's preparation.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Makhachev and his team are known for having these incredibly detailed game plans. They'll spend hours watching film. They study their opponent's strengths and weaknesses, and they come up with a strategy that's going to exploit every little vulnerability.
But it's not just about sticking to the game plan, right? He's also adaptable.
Absolutely. Like if something's not working, he's not afraid to change it up. He can go from this patient grappler to this aggressive striker in the blink of an eye. And that ability to adapt is what makes him so dangerous.
So is he unbeatable? What challenges do you see ahead for him?
Well, nobody's unbeatable in MMA, right? It's just the nature of the sport. But he's definitely at the top of his game right now. I think this rematch with Arman Tsarukyan is going to be a real test.
Yeah. Why is Tsarukyan such a threat?
Well, for one, he's one of the few guys who's really pushed Makhachev. You know, he's got a strong grappling background, and he's really good at defending takedowns. In their first fight, he actually stuffed a lot of Makhachev's takedowns.
Wow.
Which is not easy to do. And I'm sure he's been studying that fight, looking for ways to improve his strategy.
Yeah, that rematch is going to be a banger.
Yeah.
So for people listening who maybe aren't super familiar with Makhachev, what's the one thing you want them to take away from this?
I think the main thing to understand about Islam Makhachev is that he's a complete fighter. He's not just a grappler. He's not just a striker. He's a master strategist.
Yeah.
And he can dominate in all areas of the game. You know, he's got the technique, he's got the fight IQ, and he's got this relentless drive to be the best.
And it's only getting better.
Yeah.
So here's something to think about. Given his improved striking, how do you think he's going to handle these future opponents who might try to keep the fight standing up?
Yeah.
I think we're going to see some exciting things from Makhachev in the years to come.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Thanks for having me.
See you next time.
Yeah. Take care.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching to our podcast. Don't forget to subscribe. What's next?